What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another Key of Three stream. Definitely one I'm excited for today. So, got Garrett, Devin, and JELSON here with me. How we doing today, boys?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
No, we're doing pretty good. I know we got some Raptors talk on the docket. They're playing well, so no complaints.
I'm just glad to be back here talking hoops, and the Raptors are certainly a topic to discuss because I think we talked about them earlier, like in one of our previous streams.
Listen, even Megan's here to get in on the action. First comment, first like, love to see it. But as you may be wondering, why is Gabe coming in so excited into this stream? And that is because, as you can see from the title, we are coming in with some Raptors talk. And luckily, there's some positive Raptors talk. As most people know by now, they're on this 8-game win streak and have just been doing everything right, it seems. Like, I think top 6 offense, top 7 defense right now. They're just firing on all cylinders. But just to start off, I'm going to go to my fellow Raptors fan here. Devin, what are you seeing right now up in Toronto?
I mean, it's certainly a nice improvement from that nice 1-4 start we had. That's for certain.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly a nice turnaround since then. The defense is really locked in. The rotations have looked a lot better. The communications looked a lot better. The bench unit has been great, which is one of the bigger reasons that I think we've been so successful. That kind of goes under the radar. It's not quite bench mob level, but bench mob light 2.0 is probably where we're at right now with the fun collection of young guys they've got going. So it's been encouraging. I don't think it's been 13-5 encouraging. I don't look at this Raptors team and say, oh yeah, like top 2 team in the East, and we're gonna make a potential push to the NBA Finals. Like, I don't think we're there. The Raptors have had and will continue to have one of the easier schedules in the league this year. They came into the season with that. They've had a pretty easy schedule so far. I think they're about 19th in strength and schedule the rest of the way. So they were never going to have the hardest go at it. And that certainly helped. I mean, we picked up some wins against some weaker teams. We know we just swept the season series against Cleveland. 2 of those games, they were missing at least multiple, if not more, starters, including Garland, of course, and 2 of those, or if not all 3 of them. So it's been some easier matchups, but undeniable that this team is playing very well. Darko, who looked like he might have been on the hot seat for his coaching job if that cold start continued, has been a lot better, of course, now that we've got ourselves in winning ways, and he looks like he's going to end up being a good hire now in his 3rd year. Ingram's found his way very comfortably. RJ, before, of course, he went down with injury, has looked like he's probably playing the best basketball of his career, and Scotty Barnes is doing what Scotty Barnes needs to do. He doesn't have to be the number 1 guy on offense right now. He can just be in the flow of the offense, play off ball, and be that elite off-ball defender that we know he can be, but he hasn't been able to be. This year he has been. And that's been a big part of him being great and the transition offense being so good because he's allowing so many good transition opportunities from that defense. So I'm encouraged. I think it's still going to be a good season going forward, but by no means am I buying into this and saying, yeah, this is some, elite team. I don't think we're there. It's a good, well-rounded group. The bench is good. Shout out Jamal Shed. He's been awesome. But I'm not getting fooled by this. They're not baiting me in. If we could win a playoff round, great. Anything beyond that, I'm taking as a very, very generous bonus at this point.
Yeah, I just to add in there, I feel like what I was talking about with my one friend, NBA Real Talk, who's another Raptor fan, the dispersed scoring, I do feel like that could be sustainable. Like, even though you guys maybe don't have that top 10 player in the league, although Scotty Barnes has looked great and Brandon Ingram's looked great, and even RJ's looked great. I know I don't think he played the other day, but there's a lot of players that on any given night could be the guy between those 3, between Quickly, the inside game with Pirtle, Colin Murray Boyles as well. You mentioned Jamal Shed. I even think Grady Dick. I know last year he was averaging near 20 for most of the season. Then he kind of dipped down to 15 or 14 by the end of it. And Agbaji, even, who hasn't really played a whole lot. Mamu, I know you guys say he changed the culture earlier today. So
he changed the culture, man.
Yeah, there's just so many guys on this team, and I feel like I even realized it from the first game of the season. I'm pretty sure you guys played Atlanta, right? And you guys beat them And it was a beatdown. Like, it wasn't even close. And I was like, wow, that shocks me, because I feel like Atlanta before the year, I thought they'd be that third or fourth team, and they haven't been bad by any means, and they've had injuries, but you just saw, like, afterwards in the locker room, the team chemistry, the way that everyone can, align with one another. You don't see that very often on too many teams, let alone a young team like this Raptors one, and especially a team that maybe coming into the year, like figuring out the wing situation and who's going to be the first option, second option. They might still need to come to that point eventually, but I think right now, like, they're just doing really well. They're getting the job done. They got the job done 3 times already against the team that was number 1 in the East last year, the Cleveland Cavaliers. They've just been winning, like, as simple as that. They have great defense, in my opinion. And I feel like just a lot of guys who can really rebound, and versatility is a big thing with this team. So I like what I'm seeing if I'm in the shoes of either one of you guys, Gabe or Devin, because the Raptors look pretty legit.
They love basketball. That's what Brandon Ingram said. They all love basketball.
And just one more thing, and I'll let JELSON go. I was going to say Brandon, like Brandon Ingram. But Brandon Ingram, like, you haven't seen him on too many winning teams in his career. So I'm glad that we're finally seeing him maybe at the top in one of these situations and seeing what that could look like. It is very early. Anything could change, but I just think that I want to see what that looks like for him on a team like this, a potential contending team in the East. And right now he's looked pretty good.
Okay, so that's actually pretty interesting that you mentioned that, because Garrett said if you're a Raptors fan, you should be looking forward. You should be happy with where the team's at. And I'm not going to say you shouldn't be, because 13-5 is absolutely fantastic, especially with specifically me and Gabe had a conversation about the Raptors like before the season started. We talked about how we don't think Gabe's going to be wanting to watch many Raptors games this season. And that obviously has flipped on its head. And at 13-5, if I'm a Raptors fan, I'm extremely happy with that mark. But I'm not going to get ahead of myself. Kind of like Devin was getting after here, was we can't look at this 13-5 record. I mean, what are we approaching here? Like a quarter through the season almost. And we've seen a lot of teams be at this point and then collapse towards the end of the year. I don't know what the stats are behind it. And I don't think the Raptors will collapse, like, not make the playoffs. I think they'll make the playoffs, clearly. And I think they have the talent to make the playoffs, clearly. I think they have a connected group that can make the playoffs, clearly. And I think they have a defense, most importantly, that can win playoff games as of right now. But to me, if you're a team that, in my personal opinion, you're standing at a point where Brandon Ingram's offense is going to take you where you want to go. And I'm not saying that other guys in the team can't score or whatever. I don't trust Brandon Ingram, especially come the playoffs. I just don't trust it. And Garrett said that we haven't seen him in too many winning environments. And I want to say that part of the reason is because I don't believe he's a winning player himself. And that's not to say that he can't be on a winning team, especially when you have this connected team like we see here in Toronto. But it's more so a fact, like, I can't see a team giving Brandon Ingram the keys to the car on offense and saying, okay, this is what's going to lead us to success later in the season in clutch time games, and especially in the playoffs. But as of right now, what we've seen is absolutely encouraging, especially as we said that Scottie Barnes gets to do what he does best, and he doesn't have to worry about, being the entire team essentially like he was for the first couple of seasons. And, after his first year, how people were talking about how he didn't play as well, whatever. But you put a lot of expectations on a guy like Scottie Barnes, and now with Brandon Ingram in the picture, you don't quite see that as much, and you see him excelling in his role and doing the things he's great at. So for his development and for the development of the sake of the team, I think this successful start is going to be very, very nice to have.
Why don't you think you trust Brandon Ingram in the playoffs? That's my question.
Because the last time he made the playoffs, he was one of the worst players I've ever seen in my life. And hey,
because he was playing the best defense in the league in OKC.
Well, also
best team in the league.
But he also averaged 13 points a game, shooting 30% from the field.
What did the Pelicans have? But what did the Pelicans have?
I'm not saying that.
Because I'm just saying, like, the last time before that we saw him, he looked great against Phoenix.
Right. I guess maybe his shot diet is something that I don't trust in the playoffs. specifically.
I don't know.
that-
I think it's too small of a sample size to base like just the OKC series against him when he
No, I
didn't have
agree.
a great team around him and he was going against one of the all-time teams in OKC. When the other series he played, he was really good. You know.
Hey, Jason OKC doesn't count, man.
No, right. No, I think
Well,
that
in those
part of it-
conditions, yeah. I mean, like.
I think to me, it's the situation of, do you trust a tough shot maker in the playoffs, right? Some players, yeah, you can. Some players have solidified their role as a tough shot maker and able to do it in the playoffs. But the truth is that majority of tough shot makers do not succeed in the playoffs. And I think that Brandon Ingram, as you said, has one time before succeeded in the playoffs as a tough shot maker. But this was before I think he truly went into that tough shot taker, tough shot maker element of his game that we saw within the past couple of years, specifically last year, really. And last year, watching him play offense, and obviously things can change. Being on a winning team can definitely change the shot diet, the type of player you are, and everything like that. It's just, I don't know if I can trust that consistency being this team player, this team offensive player, and not resorting back to what you, as a basketball player, clearly prefer to play as, and that is a tough shot maker.
Okay, let me just ask something real quick. I'm not comparing him in total skill to these players, but would you say Shea is a tough shot maker? Yes or no? Would you say Jason Tatum's a tough shot maker?
Yeah,
or Jokic or Curry? I mean, these are the last 4 Finals MVPs that we're talking about here.
Right. I hear you on that. It's just I don't see them like. That's why I say you got to prove yourself as a tough shot maker, right? You got to prove yourself.
And I agree. I just think that it's unfair to say I can't trust him. I say we need to see what happens. And if he sucks again in the playoffs and, you know, he has the pieces around, especially as a higher seed, then, yeah, I can see where you're coming from. But I feel like it's a little unfair to just say, oh, he played bad against OKC, who was great, and he didn't really have much of a team because we all know Zion can never stay on the court. Like, you know.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me chime in here because I see the point that JELSON is making, but I do have a bit of a rebuttal. So as you mentioned, like, relying on a tough shot maker to kind of carry your offense per se is definitely flawed to see. By the way, shout out to chat. Appreciate the support. You know, coming to view the Raptors content allows us to keep doing it and definitely makes it all more worth the while. So glad you could make it out to stream. But looking back at like old Raptors teams, like if you look at like the DeMar DeRozan Raptors teams, right? You know, they got to the playoffs and then it was very stagnant. It was revolving around a lot of difficult shot making and then it kind of fell apart. So from that perspective, I see what you mean. Where I think it's different now is that even though Brandon Ingram has a lot of that similar shot diet, I think the rest of the offense around him is built to put him into a place where they can't just completely key in on that and by proxy shut down their whole offense. Like this team, I think overall is a great playmaking team. They're like top 3, I think, in assist percentage or assist to turnover ratio. I know they're really high in both of those.
Move the ball well.
So just as far as like just the quantity and the quality of that ball movement, even if it is like more of a by committee thing, I don't know if there's one guy on this team who I'm like, yeah, that's our primary playmaker. And that's probably one of the few question marks I still have about them. But at least from a team dynamic, I think that Brandon Ingram just provides just a lot of, I don't know if the word is texture to the offense, but that's what I'm going to say. Just in the sense that I think, you know, a lot of times you need that star guy who can get it done in the mid-range. And I don't know if we had a guy before that could really get that done to that efficient of a level on this version of the roster. So being able to turn around and have him while still having the amount of rim pressure that we have and seeing some development and shooting from some different guys on the roster as well. I mean, I think it's definitely going to be a lot better while still flawed. I don't think they're going to be like a top 6 offense for the entire season by any stretch. But I think that they are setting themselves up running a less ISO-heavy offense to where you can't really key in on one guy and shut everything down.
I think I actually really do agree with that. So I'm glad you brought that up because that is a great point, right? As you said, adding texture to an offense that in previous seasons you didn't really have it, right? Mm-hmm. When you rely on tough shot making, as I mentioned earlier, which is my biggest problem with Brandon Ingram, that's when teams can get stagnant. I mean, especially when we think of DeMar DeRozan. I mean, in the past, decade or so, he's been one of the most consistent tough shot makers, and I think for a guy like DeMar DeRozan to have success, you have to have a similar system that we're talking about, like having a free flowing offense, guys around him that can make shots, guys that can facilitate themselves, make the correct pass, things of that nature. And it's just something that the Raptors haven't had in the past, especially with DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. And I think that's something that Brandon Ingram does have. So that's definitely going to, hopefully for this team and for future years of this team, should help them not only stay where they are now, which is obviously a good point at 13-5 starting the season, but you would look at this and say, hey, maybe if you can have that texture and you can keep Brandon Ingram away from taking tough shots in moments where maybe he shouldn't, then I would look at it as a very positive note. So I guess there's two different ways you could look at it.
I do also think, part of it, I know granted he was hitting some the other day, but again, part of the reason he's taking such tough shots is because of what he had in New Orleans, and a lot of people would game plan strictly for him. But also, I just think that whether or not it is what you were saying, I just think that if you need a tough shot maker or not, it all depends too on the system around him. I think that given what the Raptors have shown so far this year, you just mentioned like top 3 in assist percentage. I'm pretty sure they're up there in 3-point percentage right now. Like whether that's a fluke or not, like right now it is happening. So that's why I'm saying, like, from what I'm seeing right now, it looks like things are going pretty good, especially the way they played against some of these other expected top teams in the East. Now someone could get injured and then all of a sudden like they fall down to like 7 or 8, kind of like the Magic last year when they were at 2-3 and then they slid down to 8 and they never really recovered. But I still think that it's good to see these flashes even right now. If that did happen, hopefully it doesn't, but even if it did, you're still at least seeing flashes that it can work under this coach in this system with these guys.
Yeah, I think the most encouraging thing is that, obviously, like you've mentioned, Jelson, like BI is going to have some habits to break from what he had to do in New Orleans. But clearly this is a point of emphasis from Darko and this coaching staff. I mean, we talked about it from the DeMar days and even past DeMar and Lowry days in the 2 years post Kawhi when Siakam and OG and for a bit Freddie were still leading the show. The Raptors were always near the bottom of the league in assists, at least bottom 10, most years bottom 5 in assist percentage. Even the last couple of years before, obviously, a much better offense this year, even when they were a bad offense the last couple of years, they were still top 5 in assist percentage. This is something that Darko has wanted this Raptors team to be able to focus on. He's always been higher on ball movement, player movement, getting paint touches, and making sure that it's not as reliant on ISO ball. So it's great that we have someone who can do that, and we've seen the value in that in a few late games moments. We've been much better at closing this year, and Brandon Ingram's been a big part of that. And the fact that even if he doesn't score, at least we have someone that's safe and reliable that we can then consider defense and defend very well off of. That's been very important. But the fact that from the coaching staff down, it clearly is such an emphasis that we're going to get paint touches, we're going to get paint touches, we're going to continue to involve everyone, distribute the ball well. And they're showing that with some of their closing lineups. I mean, we continue to see Jamal Shedd close with Emmanuel Quickley with double guard lineups in quite a few games. Throw those two alongside Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, and somebody. I mean, that's a lot of passing and playmaking that you got out there, and a lot of guys who can create a lot of problems getting to the rim and getting other guys open, whether that be Brandon Ingram or otherwise. So I think the fact that that's such an emphasis should help mitigate some of that as well.
Yeah. I think the playmaking keeps them really steady, just kind of being able to have that by committee approach. Usually I would prefer to have, at least a lead playmaker than just have a couple other plus playmakers on the roster. But I feel like with this team, there are kind of 3 guys that you could look at and say that they're maybe the best playmaker on the roster. That being Jamal Shedd, as you mentioned, I think he's been incredible this year. Of course, Scotty Barnes, we know the chops that he brings to the table on that. But then I actually have seen some growth from Emmanuel Quickley this year as far as on the playmaking side. Coming into this season, he was honestly one of my biggest pain points with the Raptors. I just didn't know if he was a natural fit as your starting point guard and being your lead guy. He always seemed to have more of that 6th man mold, more of just a natural scorer with a little bit better defense than you usually see in that archetype. But I feel like we've just seen more from him on that side of the floor this time around. So just being able to have those 3, if one of them's on the court at all times, I think that can just kind of help head up that offense, make sure things stay consistent. And I think just the word consistency is something that should define this team for most of the season. With you mentioning like they are really high in 3-point percentage, but they are pretty low in volume. So I don't think they're going to have as much variance as a lot of other teams have night in, night out. Like I know last night they played the Cavs, for example, and that's a team who shoots a lot of threes. So if they have a cold night, they might end up in a night like last night where they score less than 100, but maybe they score 130. And obviously there's other factors there with them specifically, but just generally speaking, we know a lot of teams live by the three, die by the three. And even though the Raptors are efficient right now, if that goes down, I don't think their volume is going to be high enough to where it's going to significantly impact the amount of wins they can get. I think being able to hang their hat on defense, have a guy who can close games, and then just have plus playmaking around the roster is definitely that recipe for, at least in the regular season, sustained success.
Well, I think this is partially what you mentioned. What's the saying? If you're like top 5 in 3-point percentage, you're not taking enough threes. So, hey, maybe get a few more up. And you also mentioned Emmanuel quickly, the both of you. He was one of those guys, as you mentioned, was kind of a pain point. For me, it was like, if this year the Raptors were as bad as we thought they were going to be, I thought he was going to be one of, if not the first player on the chopping block. I mean, you gave him a very big contract, a guy that hasn't really improved since what we saw in New York. And, you know, as we mentioned, can he play make? Can he show that he's beyond what we think he is in a decent defender and also a, you know, natural scorer? And this year, him being able to facilitate, him being able to play make is obviously a huge point for this Raptors team. And as you mentioned, having a few guys that can do that is so big. But for me, you guys already bought into Emmanuel quickly with that contract you gave him, right? You want to see that guy develop. You want to see that guy that you already paid show that he was worth that money. And that's, to me, what he's starting to do.
I agree with that.
I will say this, and based on last game, yes, there is a lot of season left, but just off my gut instinct right now, and especially when what I was seeing on the other side of things, I know we're talking about like where the Raptors fare in the East, and I would still say that Cleveland should be the favorites to make the finals. However, I think if they play Toronto, the Raptors beat them in 5 games.
I just think that Cleveland like their health is just so bad that I don't know if I can really gauge them this season.
Well, my thing is with this team is like from the Cavs standpoint, I don't know what you guys were seeing. I saw a lot of Cavs fans saying, who cares about this game? Like they really thought we were trying for the Toronto Raptors or something. Like we cared about the other game, the Clipper game, you know? And I'm thinking like
the Clipper game.
Don't make the same mistakes you guys made last year, because they did the same thing with Indiana, and of multiple games they sat out guys, especially near the end of the year. They're like, we don't care. We already got the 1 seed. And what happened? The Pacers came for their lunch money. They won 3 games on them in the regular season. The only team I'm pretty sure in the East who did that. And right now we just saw the Cavs sweep them, whether Donovan Mitchell was playing or not, whether Evan Mobley was playing well or not, or Garland or not. Like it did not matter. Even the one game when Mitchell didn't play, Jamison Battle was the MVP of the game. He was 7 for 7. So that was a weird one. But the fact that does happen, like there are so many guys on this team that do not fear the Cavaliers. And I'm looking at this team. They got versatility to the point where you're not going to stop Donovan Mitchell, but I think if there's a team that can slow him down the most in the East, they're a pretty good contender to do that. And if those other guys are not healthy or they're not turning it up, it will get ugly really fast. And that's why, especially too, considering the fact that there's a good chance they could play in the first or second round, Toronto will beat them in 5 games.
I agree.
I'll say that right now.
I actually really agree. I think
we're jumping the gun on 5, man. Just
no, I'll put it out
they
there.
will. I'll say this. I was very close to saying a sweep, but Donovan Mitchell's never been swept. So out of respect for him, I'm giving Cleveland a game because I know he'll get one. They will not beat this Toronto Raptors team unless a miracle happens.
I think me and Devin have fan anti-bias right now.
I think, well, okay, so this is really interesting because I think the only perspective I can really put it in is like as a fan of my team, like what I've seen, and that is like over the past couple of years, the Timberwolves have had the number of the Nuggets, but the Suns had the number have had the number of the Timberwolves until the playoffs hit. So I don't really know what this is to me, and I think I would probably put it more on the side of this is like a Suns against the Timberwolves thing, where the playoffs come and then the other team just mops the floor with them. Just because we don't have that sample size yet for Toronto. I mean, they played all 3 games against Cleveland in the first, not even 20 games of the season, which to me kind of seems like a disservice as a fan, because I want to see more of that now and I want to see it later in the season.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the NBA couldn't really predict that, the Raptors were going to
they might play in the knockout stage of the NBA Cup. Hold on.
True that.
But we do have a sample size of 1, the Cavs having injuries, and 2, they last year did not take the Pacers seriously. I'm saying they as a collective. I'm not saying every individual player, but to a degree, this team did not. And so you're looking at Toronto and you're like, like the Knicks are our competition, or maybe the Hawks or the Pistons. They're just, who cares about Toronto? Like, dude, you can't say who cares about Toronto when 1, they have a better record than you, and 2, they just swept you. And I don't think there's going to be much different come playoff time.
I do agree with that.
I would just hold my horses just for the. I think that
Okay.
the biggest factor here for me is just the whole Darius Garland piece. Like, they looked lost out there last night, and just overall, I think this Cavs team he has really been proving himself as the most important player on the team, which I think is an important distinction from the best player on the team, because Darius Garland is the 3rd best player on this team. But as far as his impact on making the whole offense run and making everybody on this team elevate, he's the most important guy to do that. And whereas like Donovan Mitchell is, the best player on the team, but you need Darius Garland there to allow Donovan Mitchell to be himself and not have to play outside of his game. So I think that if they have him, like, the defense was just like smothering them last night. Like, I'm watching Lonzo Ball commit bad turnovers because there's just nowhere to go. And it's like, he's one of the best playmakers in the league still. So they definitely were struggling out there. And I do want to hold on making those Cleveland takes, because I think Toronto has their own things to figure out. Like, we have been talking a lot of positive, but there's a couple things I'm selling on, and I think we still do have to figure out kind of what the bottom half of that rotation looks like. Like, I'm cool with the starting 5, then I think Shed and Mamu are good. But if you're going to go 8-9 deep in a playoff series, what exactly does that look like? Maybe you don't at all, but there is a lot of moving pieces here with, like, Grady Dick and Ochai Agbaji have not been very good this season. Jacoby Walter, he's been decent. A little bit. He's got a big minutes cut from last season, so we'll see what's going on there. And then, like, Colin Murray-Boyles as a rookie, he looks like good. I don't know if he's ready for that just yet. Like, when I see him on the court, like, he fundamentally is doing well. But I think that he is a player who we'll see blossom more so over time, as opposed to maybe being like an immediate contributor. So I'm like pretty good with the top 7, because Mamu changed the culture, man. I like his minutes more than Pirtle's minutes right now. I'm not going to make a claim as to who's better, but who's more enjoyable. Mamu, he's different, man.
But see, like, with the Cavaliers,
the depth is a question.
I was just going to say, with the Cavaliers, like, you mentioned Darius Garland, and from what I've seen so far this year, and I don't know how much it's really going to transform, I feel like he's going to be like 2024 playoffs Darius Garland, as opposed to last year. Last year, he came in with that mentality, and he was set. Like, he was fine the whole way. Playoffs come around, he gets the little injury, comes back, he's a little bit uncertain. Shooting his confidence is like shooting his leg. Because, and I say that because he is going to be such a liability if he's out and he's unsure. And right now he hasn't been. I've watched him so far this year. Like, even though he might be putting up like close-ish to his number, he really just has not looked the same. Like, he just does not look confident at all. And this Raptors team will only drain his confidence more and more. That's only going to put more and more pressure on Donovan Mitchell. They're going to be doubling him a lot more. And if they're doubling him a lot more and he has no reliable options to turn to, especially if Evan Mobley plays like he did last night in a game where Jared Allen wasn't there, like, you need to really step up then. They're going to be in trouble. And I'm saying this too. I will say again on stream, I even told you guys, as a Donovan Mitchell fan, he did not have a good game last night. But if this is what we get, even with Garland is playing, and it's like 2024 Garland again because he's in and out of the lineup leading up to this point, and Jared Allen, same thing we saw from year after year after year with him, it's going to get ugly fast, and it'll be a 3-0 start probably to the series. It won't even be like one of those 1-1 or 2-1. It'll be probably 3-0.
When are we giving Jamison Battle the keys to the car?
He'll get them in Cleveland.
Devin,
he gets some in Cleveland.
When he comes in and he hits his first couple, it's great. But you can just tell, like, if he comes in and he misses his first shot, it's like, okay, he's off and he's done.
And what school you go to?
But when he's on,
what school you go to?
University of Minnesota.
Really?
Jamison Battle.
Yeah. And he went to Ohio State, right?
That's right. OSU legend. You know.
Wow.
You know.
He went to Minnesota for 2 years and then Ohio State for 1.
That's mine and Jelson's.
And where else?
Right there, man. That's our guy.
He also went to somewhere in freaking Indiana, right?
George Washington he went to.
George Washington. Yeah, that's right. That's where he went out of high school. And then he transferred home to Minnesota, and then he transferred out and went to Ohio State.
I don't know, man. The East just overall, this is going to sound really weird because I know we've talked about the East being the worst conference, but the East is kind of a bloodbath, man. Like,
oh, I agree.
The East is deeper.
I'm enjoying it.
There's 10 teams with a winning record in this conference, bro. The 9th seed in the West is below 500. Like, you're telling me you're in the play-in and you're facing Boston. They might have Tatum.
Like, the S tier, A tier in the West is definitely better, but
they're more top heavy. They're
yeah,
more top
the
heavy.
B minus tier and above is definitely better in the East.
Like, bro, imagine you get the 2 seed in the East and you got to play Jason Tatum first round. Are you for real? Come on.
That's the easy work.
Easy work. Well, they don't have a center, so you might be right.
And I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's not going to be. I don't know. Maybe not quite as extreme, but you don't think it's going to be like when Paul George came back from the leg or something. Like it's going to be a little bit of a slow comeback, and then next season will be a little bit better.
Is he really supposed to be back by the first round of the playoffs? That sounds.
They say like he's ahead of schedule. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be kind of insane.
It's Tatum, bro. He's gonna do it.
But the thing is, he's just like Kobe because Kobe came back quick from his Achilles. So hopefully it's not just like Kobe and he gets injured again.
Well, Tatum wasn't 36 when that happened, so I think it'll be a little bit better.
Yeah,
I don't know, but
that surgery is probably a little bit more effective these days too.
Yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't retire as many years after either.
KD is hooping, and he had an Achilles like 6 years ago.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
he's
those guys bouncing back from that these days.
I thought you said 80. I was like, what?
No, 80.
That's what it sounded like. Sorry.
But KD's not like the same. Like I don't know. He's the same player, but he's not the same player.
I don't think Tatum like super relies on like
mean.
athleticism though. Like he's pretty jump shot heavy these days. Can defend. If he's a little bit slower, I mean, there'll be some differences, but Tatum will be fine. He'll be fine.
He's pretty shifty though. That's the one thing.
Okay.
Yeah, like maybe the defense gets a little bit worse, maybe, but that's the most concern
I
I
didn't-
have. And even that, I don't think he's going to be some bad defender
I didn't
by
think.
any means.
I didn't think as a player he could get any more rigid, but now that he tore his Achilles, I don't know. Hey, he's still gonna be nice, but man, that man plays like a freaking box of bricks.
I'll be
What does
honest,
that
man.
I don't know. Just watch him play, and that's just what I see.
Wait, you said who plays like a box of bricks?
Jason Tatum, he's just so
You're
rigid.
lying. You're
No,
lying.
he's
bro.
just such a rigid player. Like his jump shot's
Rigid?
rigid. Yeah, dude. He's
Me,
he's a
when I
good.
take 8 sidestep threes a game, I'm rigid.
But like his
I agree with the shooting form, but like him as a player, no. Like
his movement package.
no.
His movement package is just like I'm not saying he's not quick.
His
I'm not saying
movement
he's not,
package.
I'm not saying like I'm not saying he's not quick or he's not shifty. I'm just saying like he's in a different way. Like he doesn't play like anyone else in that sense. Like I don't know how to describe what I'm trying to say.
Or does it look less fluid? Is that what
Yeah,
you're
he just doesn't look fluid to me. Like nothing. Like it works, but nothing looks fluid to me.
Is Tatum the best Duke player in the league?
Oh,
Probably.
Austin Rivers
Yeah.
isn't in the league anymore, so I guess.
Give me Jalen Johnson, man. Come on.
He's been hooping.
Just kidding. Just kidding for this season. But overall, you got to give me Tatum. Anything else on the Raptors, though? I know that pretty much covered, I think, everything I wanted to talk about for the most part. But
Gentleman's sweep over Cleveland. Calling it.
All
right. Well,
if it happens, I mean, it might not, but like they might not even play.
I think there might be a little bit of fan anti-bias on both sides because I don't think that's happening. And you're a Donovan Mitchell guy, and you can admit his team's not showing up to bat.
Wait, hold on. I got one thing to say. Garrett needs to put a bacon, egg, and cheese on that right there because we saw it before with Jay, with the Knicks versus Bulls, bro. You need
maybe I'll wait until we get the whole squad here.
You don't want to put a bacon, egg, and cheese on it, Garrett?
But from New York, though.
What they got out in hey, what can we bet on this out in I'm not gonna dox you, but out there in North Indiana.
Corn. In the Midwest, we can bet corn.
You can bet an ear of corn.
Yeah.
All right, bet. We'll put 1 ear of corn on a gentleman's sweep. But anyway, from there.
What kind of bet is that?
It's a bad one. It's a bad one.
We are not beating the Midwest 4 allegations today.
Yeah, no, this is crazy. This is crazy. We need to get off this topic. All right. We're gonna go over to the West, man. It's rant time, and we had a guy who requested to talk about a certain team today. He had some things to say and get off his chest. So going over to the Western Conference, we've been really positive so far this episode. So it's time to pop off, man. We're gonna have to do something special here, man. JELSON, what's going on in your city, man? You gotta let me know what's happening.
Okay, I said this before last year, and it was kind of overzealous. But Chris Grinch, man, what are we doing out here? Like, I kid you not, bro. If this continues, you will not have a job by January. Like, I usually am not a betting man. All right, I am not out here like Terry Rozier, okay, or Chauncey Billups. I'm not betting, but if I was, I'd be putting money right now on Chris Finch being one of the worst coaches in the NBA, and not only that, but not having a job by January. If this trend continues, just one of the worst clutch time coaches in the NBA. But also on top of that, a guy that came into his coaching position supposed to be an offensive mastermind, but guess what? He can't coach a damn offense. But what he can do is play a 38-year-old Mike Conley until his knees fall off. So I don't know what to tell you. That's all I got for right now. But like, I think generally this team just they're missing an edge, right? I mean, I think all of us that have watched the Timberwolves this year have seen that they're not the same team they were last year or the year prior to that. And this is, to me, no fault of Anthony Edwards, a guy that has consistently shown to me that he wants to go out there and hoop, wants to go out there and win, and wants to go out there and give effort. In the past 2 games, I believe he's at over 40 per game, and we just collapse. I think that everybody this
he didn't collapse in either of those games, JELSON, or no?
I ought to say this. The Suns game, he missed two free throws that he should have made, but I'm not going to put the game on him.
And he turned it over late in the game, like twice.
Once, but I'm not gonna give it
twice.
I'm not gonna give the game away and say Anthony Edwards caused us to lose that game, because he had like 45. Like to me, like, I could understand why you may be like these poor free throws, these bad decisions led to the results of the game at the end. If we're only counting what happened at the end of the game, it shouldn't have been that close, in my personal opinion, right? And on top of that, we have nobody that can freaking handle the rock, man. Nobody can handle and get around pressure in the slightest. Right. This is a discussion we had prior, I'm pretty sure, right, Gabe? Like, we need a point guard. We had a discussion of how important is a point guard.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a point guard, and to that I'll give Chris Grinch some leeway on that, but in my opinion, specifically with the Phoenix game, he didn't have Jalen Clark in the game. Arguably, our best defender and best perimeter defender just didn't have him in the game for some reason. Guess what? We get gamed, man.
But
we
you
get
didn't
gamed.
lose the game on. You didn't lose the game on defense. You lose the game on bad offense at the end because you
No,
guys were up like 9 with a minute left.
I agree, but here's the thing to me is if when you are in a position where the other team can take the lead, has a game-winning possession, what do? You put your best defensive players in, because we shouldn't have been there in the first point in the first place. But when we
how?
are,
If you're defending a lead, why are you going to put your best defender players in? You're going to put your best free throw shooters in, and the guys who can handle the backcourt press.
Right.
You would want a passer and a free throw shooter, and I feel you just got to inbound the ball, make the free throw.
I hear what you're saying, right? But there was a timeout taken, okay, between Phoenix's possession to win the game and before that, and their stop, okay? During that timeout, what do? You put your best defender in because the Phoenix has the opportunity to take the lead. And on top of that, the guy that I'm talking about can hit his free throws. He's not a bad free throw shooter. Like that is something that I would not be concerned about having him at the free throw line. Having Jalen Clark at the free throw line is something that I would be perfectly fine with. He's the best free throw shooter of all time? No, but he's not a bad one. And on top of that, he can handle the ball a little bit. He's not going to be an automatic turnover. It's not like I have Rudy Gobert out there, you know what I'm saying, trying to run point guard. It's not what we have. So to me, you got to put your best defenders in that specific situation. If there's that timeout taken for you as a head coach, you put your personnel in that match the best for the personnel that you're playing against. And him not doing that is a disservice to not only the team but the state as a whole and basketball in Minnesota as a whole.
The state as a whole, Minnesota's done.
I agree with what you mean on that play. I don't think though that wasn't what got up to that point, though. Like a lot of bad offense and turnovers and a stupid shot I think you guys took. Like that's what got them back in the game that they shouldn't have even been in. And Devin Booker fouled out. You know, he wasn't really having a good game either. So there's no real reason to lose that.
The funny thing is actually that team played – the Suns played better without Devin Booker in that game, whether he was on the bench or he was fouled out. And once again, Anthony Edwards snatching his chain, but hey, even though
that chain's been snatched. Come on,
it has been snatched. But I've seen some crazy takes. I've seen some crazy takes. But to me, it's just one of those things where I agree you shouldn't have been in that position in the first place, and it's something that you said like there were decisions like the turnovers, sloppy offense, things of that nature that shouldn't have occurred in the first place. And this is the thing we can actually talk about. We discussed this Kings game just yesterday. Like once again, bad decisions, turnovers, sloppy offense, bad defense. You know, why aren't we taking timeouts when the Kings are down 10, then they go on a 9-0 run, and now it's a 1-point game? Why aren't we taking a timeout? Those are the things that to me irk me the most, because this has been an issue with Chris Finch since day one as a head coach. This is something that, 6 years ago when he was hired, we were saying, it's okay. First time as a head coach in the NBA, these are things that he'll learn. He hasn't learned to take a damn time out.
Okay. I do have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So obviously you can change a coach, pretty much at any time. Not that it's great to do midseason versus off season, but we've seen it work out before. I think getting a good starting point guard is a little bit more difficult. So looking at the market, what point guard would you want if you were trying to get an upgrade, and what would you give up for that?
Well, I think the easy answer to me is like you go and make the splash play with Ja Morant. And this is something I discussed before. And
spacing
to me, I don't have as big of an issue about it, because our current point guards aren't contributing anything.
Fair. Okay.
So to me, anything Ja Morant can provide. Healthy legs. That's a big thing. Healthy, right?
Healthy.
Is he going to be healthy? And the crazy thing to me is, I trust Ja Morant on one leg more than I trust a 30-year-old Mike Conley. I got a lot of love.
Legend.
I got a lot of love for Mike Conley, but you got to hang him up. It's just time, and I think
hang up the sneaks.
Exactly.
Him and Chris Paul are gonna ride off into Cancun together. We know.
Hey, exactly. And so I think it's just time for him to go. And I think if I am the team and I'm looking to put a package together to go and get a guy that I know is going to be a reliable ball handler, you go and get John Morant, because at this point with this team, I think Rudy is beyond the point of saving as a defender, and that's unfortunate because up until last year, I mean, as you guys know, I was defending him. I mean wholeheartedly. But he's just not that same. Like some nights you see it, some nights you don't. But it's not good when you got a guy making that much money. We can't have every other night defense out of him, and we got to see it every night. We got to see the consistency every night. And if you can somehow make a package, just something that I threw together in one of our other streams, but if you can make a package and you go Rob, TJ, and that's Terrence Shannon Jr. for people that don't know, and then you throw in Rudy Gobert or something of that nature, then you maybe throw in a first round pick and you can go get Ja with that package. To me, that's a no brainer. And Memphis obviously gets the salary filler. They get the young pieces. They get the pick, and then Minnesota gets their ball handler that they deeply need. But I think for money wise, you might have to throw in another first round pick and see if you can get Zach Edey in it. Which I think money wise, you might have to get Zach Edey. So in that situation, if Memphis is willing to do it, you get another big back, so you're not completely drained in bigs, and you get your ball handler.
I don't think they
Zach Edey.
I don't think they give up Zach Edey, man. If the Grizzlies are making that trade, like the centerpiece is getting the young talent in the door, and I definitely think. Well, I guess Ja's a risk because I don't even want to say who the winner and the loser is.
Yeah,
right.
But they're trading away the best young player in the trade.
But
seems
yeah,
unlikely.
like Terrence Shannon Jr. is good. Rob, we'll see.
But
then
see,
you give up like kind of a guy who is like a good young player for you in Zach Edey. And you can't teach 7-4, man. Come on.
Hey, I agree.
I don't know if he's somebody they're itching to get off of. I don't know if he's the asset they're attached to.
Right. That's
you might
where
get Santi Aldama.
Right. I don't know what you have to get back, right? And I don't know how you match the salary, and I don't know that stuff. But I think that generally, if it's just John Morant, Rudy, Rob, TJ, and a first, I think for me, if I'm Minnesota, I'm going, hey, let's submit it. And if Memphis is willing to do it, I'm all ears, and I'm willing to do it every day of the week. I don't know what you guys think, but that's what I think in terms of getting a ball handler.
I think, I mean, yes, you guys definitely need a point guard. And I will agree with you on this. I think for one, Mike Conley definitely like past his days. And I do think these younger guys too, like Terrence Shannon Jr. and Rob Dillingham. I know like we talked a lot about like me and you, Jelson, like even last year, where it's like, why are these guys not getting an opportunity? Especially like when you guys were getting punked against OKC, and it was like at a point where it's like you might as well try something else.
That doesn't count, man. OKC games don't count.
It doesn't count for building your team though. Like from a coaching standpoint,
you ain't gonna get much done out there, man. I'm not gonna lie.
You gotta prepare him. But hold on. I'm just saying though too. Yeah, the coaching definitely, and maybe like Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley is the turning of the tide for like these guys. You need improvements, reinforcements. But I also think that I'm looking at Anthony Edwards, and yes, this is his team. In his last 5 games, his third, fourth, and fifth game away, he shot under 40% from the field. He shot under 15% from 3. And the last 2 games, both of them, he really sold at the end of the game. So my thing there,
I wouldn't say last game. Last game he didn't really sell. He kind of carried.
He didn't sell when the game was in. Sure, but the game was in reach, and in like the last minute and a half, he didn't do anything.
I agree. I guess maybe I have a different.
I'm not saying like okay, bro did nothing in a minute and a half. He's a terrible player.
I got you. I get.
But my point is like I've seen 5 games now where you could look at him and be like, I could be better as the best player. So in certain areas. So if that's the case, we also need to see that. You know, this team's not going to be super successful if they play in the way they did in the playoffs last year, where, yes, Anthony Edwards had moments, but the real reason they got as far as they did is because Rudy Gobert, masterclass, in that closeout game against the Lakers, and Julius Randle had the best playoff run probably of his career. And you can't bank on just that happening. I told you as well in Game 3 against the Thunder, I was like, man, the Timberwolves, like their cast kind of stepped up enough that they needed to, but Ant did not. And I get it. The Thunder are a great team, but this is a player. It's not like Brandon Ingram where it's like a player who's maybe not in that Shea tier. This is a guy who's being proclaimed as he's the next face of the league. He should be in the SGA tier. So that's what I want to see from him too. And I agree with you from the Chris Finch standpoint and the surrounding players, but I need to see more of that as well from him.
I agree, and I think to me having a secondary ball handler could certainly help him with that aspect.
Sure.
And we've known this with Anthony Edwards. He's definitely a 2-3, not a combo guard 1-2 or a 2-1. So to me, getting a true one out there that can, help this team and be a guy that can take some pressure off him would be super important. And I agree, there was that 3-game stretch where I would be more, crucial against, where he was just, pitiful. But outside of that, like, obviously you can nitpick a little bit. Obviously the Phoenix game, there's a lot to nitpick there with the end of the game. And then Sacramento, I think that, to me, it's difficult to nitpick because as your star player, yeah, you should be up there demanding the ball, but at the same time, it's not like he's out there making terrible plays and literally costing them the game. I think it was more of a team thing. And the only reason you were in the game in the first place, both of these games, was because of Anthony Edwards.
But you know what frustrated me, though, in the Ant game, like yesterday, is, yeah, maybe you could say, oh, the game might have been over, but there was still 20 seconds left, and Precious Achua or whatever stole the ball, and he just like let it tick out. Like, dude, you're down 4 points. You could get a steal. That's like quitter mentality, in my opinion. I'm not trying to say he is a quitter. I'm just saying, like, that right there, I'm like, he just quit. Like,
I actually don't think this is interesting. I don't think this is even an Anthony Edwards thing. I think this is a Chris Finch thing because this has happened before. I don't remember exactly what game it is, but it was generally the same score, like generally like the same situations. Ball stolen, 4-point game, decent amount of time left, like 24 seconds, let's say. And nobody fouled. Like, not just Anthony Edwards, nobody fouled. I think that it has to do something with me. Every coach is a little bit different. When do we call game, right? When do we say, hey, no more fouling? When is wraps? I just think Chris Finch has a little more quit in him than I would like for a head coach to have. And I think, to me, right. Hey, man, that $1 million. Anyways,
send the video. No, just kidding. Go ahead.
No, but to me, I understand what you're saying. As a competitor, I'd be like, I don't care what the head coach says. But at the same time, if your head coach is out there being like, hey, we call it wraps at this point, yeah, I don't know what to say, because this isn't the first time we've seen this, and the first time it wasn't Anthony Edwards, it was more of a team thing, and to me that makes me think it's more of a head coaching thing than
yeah. Let me jump in here. I feel like that. I don't know. I think putting it on Ant is a bit of a flawed argument.
I didn't put it on Ant. I said he needs to be held accountable.
Okay.
As well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, I get that, but I feel like I feel like Ant is in a situation right now where, kind of like I mentioned with Donovan Mitchell earlier, because there's no point guard next to him, he's like being forced to play outside of his role, and I think that makes things a lot more difficult. Like, he's kind of put in a place right now, but it hasn't for primary playmaker.
But it's not like Donovan Mitchell, because Donovan Mitchell's having the best statistical year of his career right now. So,
but is that benefiting the team?
And is it
benefiting the Timberwolves?
They're still up there. I mean, like, yeah, and guys have been out.
Even though his stats are like, Anthony Edwards is having great stats, but it is actually benefiting the team when he's out there, though, too.
Like, I think he has the second best on-off rating in the league right now.
All right, fuck it. Fuck that.
I'm just saying. I'm not. That's no more. That's why I'm just saying that comparison doesn't make sense. I get what you're saying.
I'm generally just talking about putting somebody outside of their responsibilities. Like, you want to let somebody. All right. Here's a better comparison. So you can't nitpick my argument. Scotty Barnes having a primary scorer next to him allows him to be Scotty Barnes and thrive in what he's good at. Anthony Edwards needs a point guard next to him. I think even to keep like a Julius Randle more consistent, you need a good point guard running the offense, because JELSON's argument way earlier in the show talking about the Raptors with that, like, you have tough shot makers, things are going to get really tough for you in the playoffs because you need somebody to run a fluent offense. So I think that just takes us back to the original point, which is I think this team more than anything needs a point guard. And honestly, by proxy, I think, with the point guard kind of being your on-court coach, that coach point guard connection, making sure both of those pieces are in place is going to be the biggest swing factor for this team.
See, I it's weird because I'm sitting here in the shoes as a Timberwolves fan, and I'm like looking at the front office, and I'm like, you guys aren't even Timberwolves fans. There's such a glaring issue with this team. Like it is like you got sucker punched in the face and you have a black eye, and you can just see it from a mile away. You can see the shiner, right? And that is the point guard position for this team. And I'm looking at this front office and I'm saying, hey, are you going to do anything about it? Like, are we going to do anything about it? Because if we can see it as fans, me as a fan, Timberwolves, you guys just being fans of the NBA, if we can all see this from a million miles away, then as a front office, we have to do something about it. And if you're not, you're doing a complete disservice to the fan base and the team.
Just to play devil's advocate here, I think they may have. They just haven't done it right. I think at least part of probably why they went to go ahead and trade up to get Dillingham was their foreseeing of that. And because they did that, now they don't have a first to trade. I was messing around in the trade machine. They can't trade a first right now. So that the jaw trade, as you described it, actually works financially. They don't have to throw anything else in.
Yes.
They just don't have a first to trade until the draft. Then the draft, they could trade their 2026 first. But they don't have a first to trade right now. So their options are pretty limited as far as what they can do, unless they can get someone with salary filler in seconds, which, I mean, you might get someone. Is it a guy that you're happy with? Probably not. So I would like to think that trading up for Dillingham and moving off of that future first round pick when they did was them trying to foresee that they were going to need a point guard, and then that was going to be their guy in the future. It obviously just hasn't worked out. And so now you're in a spot where, like you say, where there's some clear holes on this team that need to be fixed. I just don't know how fixable they are in the short term, unfortunately.
I think,
well, even like a team like Denver, like right now it's early, and yes, I know they have Jokic, who's probably the best player in the league, but they're trying all sorts of things out right now. Like they have Tim Hardaway Jr. closing games, and they had like Spencer Jones playing, like, so they're trying things out as well. And yeah, they might have more success because, well, they have Jokic, and maybe they have more of a championship culture there. I know Aaron Gordon's been out right now, but my thing is, like, just at this point of the season, like, you might as well like try a little bit more of that first, because that's what the trade deadline is for. Because if you see something you don't like, make a move, because then you can make the move that best suits you for April, May, and potentially June. I
agree. I think that's another issue I have with Chris Finch, is that man literally never tries anything outside of what his comfort zone is. And Rob Dillingham is playing consistent minutes at this point, which is a big improvement. But it's out of pure necessity. Like, I mean, there is no other options. We saw Dante running the one, and that was a freaking nightmare. And as you know, I like Dante as a player. He's not a one, never will be. Yeah. And I think Rob Dillingham, his play has been pitiful. I mean, just bad. I mean, and there are definitely flashes to me where I'm like, hey, he could be something in this league. However, when you win a game by 40 and you're a negative 27, like, I mean, let's have a discussion. And obviously plus minus isn't everything, but also you guys know the archetype of player where you get drafted out of Europe and you are just scared to shoot in the NBA. Like Balmero type of
Leandro
Balmero type of prospect. Why does Rob Dillingham play like that? He was drafted to be a guy that was like supposed to be a shooter. Trae Young is a good shot.
How? With what assets? Like, I like the idea, but with what assets?
I think that generally though, I just don't know, because I want Rob to shoot the freaking basketball more. Dude, he's just so scared to shoot open shots, and you can't be a point guard in this league, especially when that coming into it was supposed to be a score first point guard, and just refuse to shoot the basketball.
Well, in a way too, like, I mean, I say this with Patrick Williams as well, because that injury, his second year, like, and also really, I guess, like the back half of the first year, made it feel like he was a rookie maybe longer than he should have been. And now I feel like it's at a point where there's no repair. You know, and he's just like what he is at this point. Whereas Rob Dillingham, I feel like last year, I mean, granted, he was for the whole season, like he got similar minutes, but I think he's played like more games to the point where it's like you said, he has maybe more of a role in the rotation. That this does kind of feel like his rookie year in a sense.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
that's kind of like the growth where it's like right now it might be hard, but like in the next year, sure. But I feel like maybe Chris Finch could have tried something a little bit earlier and seen how it worked. I don't know. I mean, I do think eventually, like, you guys will probably make a trade. Like, just where you are in the West, you're not good enough to win a championship, but you're probably good enough to make the playoffs. And if you want to win a championship, you got to do something, whether it's a John Morant move or something else. Like, I don't know. But we'll have to see about that.
Hey, man, Monte Morris is a free agent, I heard.
All right, man. In big 2025. But yeah, I think at this point we can probably move on from the Timberwolves. Hope they get a point guard. Hope they probably get a new coach. Guess we'll see. Hopefully,
Mike Malone.
visit them in a month or two, and we can maybe have some more optimistic hopes there. But yeah, from here, did want to transition to our last main segment here of the stream, and this is a topic that I'm calling, is this team cooked? And essentially what I mean by that is, pretty naturally from the name, is this team cooked for this season? Are they able to be competitive? And as far as how am I defining competitive in this sense, you tell me. If you think that they can meet the expectations, if you think it's just like preseason expectations, if you think that's, can they win a playoff series? I think just based on your personal expectations for the team, do you think it's cooked? Do you think their season's a failure, or do you see a light at the end of the tunnel? So to start off, I think good first example here, Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis is now out for a month. They are below 500 and might be looking rough for the foreseeable future. So with him being out for a stretch, is their season cooked?
Yep.
They are not fully cooked, but they are lightly cooked. They are in a rough spot for sure.
I think
they're golden brown.
I think they're like well done.
I'm curious. Why do you say that, Devin?
I mean, as long as Giannis is still there, I think they're alive. They're going to be in a bit of a hole, but as long as they don't completely fall apart, which granted they have been, then I think Giannis, once he's back, can get them to a point where they at least have a shot. Now, if Giannis is out longer, or God forbid they get to a point where Giannis feels he needs to ask out before the deadline, yeah, then they're cooked. Until then, I think they're still at least not fully cooked. I think they have a chance as long as Giannis is still there. Giannis is willing to be on the floor, and Giannis is able to come back in a reasonable time frame. But if that end changes, they're done for, obviously, at that point.
Devin, would you say they're medium rare?
I don't know if I don't know if I'm that level adept at it.
All I'm gonna say is I think this could be a situation where if you see them start dropping games, maybe it does end up turning out the way that Luka and Dallas did. Not like the package, right? But I'm saying like Luka was injured. He was supposed to come back. He never really got that chance to come back. And his last game, no one knew it was really going to be his last game as a Maverick. No one could have predicted that. Traded, man. So I'm just saying, hey, we've seen crazier things.
The league has learned.
The league has learned, you think?
I don't think they're trading
from
Giannis.
That amount of backlash? Nobody's doing no GM's doing that. And to see how that ended up for Nico being literally the most widely hated man in the whole league.
If they start dropping games. If they start dropping games, though, they're going to realize that there's no possible way this team is ever going to compete.
No Giannis to Toronto?
They will at least look at what they can get. Well, I think that's a fair thing. Like, they might not get the package. They might not make a move. But I'm saying they will at least look at what they can get if this team is sitting like 12 games under 500 by the time the new year starts and he's still not back.
He's still important to the city, man.
I'm not buying it.
He's going to be there until he don't want to be there.
Yeah, everything they've done the last damn near decade at this point, I mean, not quite, but has been, we are doing everything we can to make sure that Giannis stays. I don't see
a lot of teams are monitoring it.
Oh, I'm sure other teams are monitoring it. And if Giannis wants to leave, that's different. But I don't think they're in a position where we've done everything we can to keep Giannis happy and keep him in Milwaukee. Now let's just ship him in the first year of his extension because he's injured for a bit. I don't buy that.
What if he invites
Hey, Jay, bro, stop the glaze in chat.
What if he invites it?
I mean, that's
Like, what if
different.
he says, yeah, like,
different.
I'm not surprised if he does do that. If we get a month and a half from now, he might not even get traded, but I'm just saying, like, this team is not all that. I thought they were going to miss the playoffs anyways, even without knowing Giannis is going to miss a month or so. So this is probably going to, like, put a damper on their whole season.
Yeah, I think they're cooked.
Yeah, I think if, like you say, I think if Giannis starts to invite it, I think that's different. I just think, unprovoked, I can't see a world where they're doing that. But then, yeah, if they get to a point where Giannis is starting to, be open to that, yeah, they're very much cooked at that point.
Yeah, I don't think I think he's just at a level of player that you don't trade. We saw it once, but the Luka trade is not a standard that you can hold.
No. That's why I'm not saying, like, the package or the surprise level that will never be beaten with the Luka trade, in my opinion. But if we get rumors where it's like, here's a better example: when Kristaps Porzingis got traded from New York, and it was like you didn't hear anything for a while, he wasn't playing. Then all of a sudden, he just randomly requested a trade when he wasn't playing, and then not too long after, they made a trade. Like, you could see something maybe like that. I think it's not, like, out of the picture.
He's been playing this game too long.
All I have to say is I have my faith in Miles Turner as a tank commander.
Yeah, I don't know what their pick situation looks like, but maybe that's their life. Maybe this season's cooked, but I would have to imagine they probably don't have any picks.
They're not terrible, I don't think. They're obviously not, pick rich, but they're not terribly pick poor. They have their 2026 first that Atlanta holds swap rights to. They have their 2027 first that the Pelicans hold swap rights to. They have their 2028 first, which Portland holds swap rights to, and then they have their 2030, 2031, and 2032 first. So they're actually not bad. They just have basically no seconds. But their first, they're actually not too bad.
Okay.
Ryan Rollins, another Ryan Rollins, maybe. No.
He didn't even get drafted by them, but he's definitely a gem.
That's what I'm saying, a gem in the
Hopefully
rough.
they can get another one of them. But we can move on. So next team that I want to know if they are cooked is the Portland Trail Blazers. I think we've seen some promising things from them here and there, but I feel like they were one of those teams who a fair amount of people expected to take a jump this season, especially with how good their defense was to close out last year. But then something happened towards the beginning of the season. And Tiago Splitter's been doing his best over there, but as of now, they really haven't been making that jump. They're still just a little bit below 500, kind of where they've been before. So is Portland cooked? Is that jump, or is it just not going to come this season, or is it still around the corner?
I don't see it happening. I mean, I think that as soon as, Mr. Billups got arrested by the feds, there was no chance.
Tiago?
I mean, they're playing better after that happened, though.
It's less of that, and it's more of, I think that the concept as to what they were buying into was behind Billups and kind of his concepts. And I think that when you're trying to buy into something for a multiple year plan, it's hard to go, especially in the fashion that it happened, to go from one coach to another and buy into a completely different plan. And if there is going to be a leap, I just don't think it's going to be this year.
Okay.
It's going to be tough for sure with, the weekend coaching change, obviously, but I don't think they're cooked at this point. I think injuries have certainly hurt them. I mean, Thibault finally back from injury, then out again. He was big to their defense being viable. Blake Wesley, who surprisingly was playing well to start the year after hardly playing in San Antonio for years. He's now out long-term. Of course, Drew Holiday's missed time. Scoot hasn't played at all yet. Shaden Sharp's missed the last couple of games. So they've been dealing with a lot of injuries. I think the biggest thing right now, like you just alluded to, Jelson, is where does their identity sit? And how does that transition now from Chauncey to being under Tiago as their head coach? Because like we've mentioned, and like you alluded to, Gabe, the defense was great to him last year. I expected it to be that this year. It hasn't been. They're nearly a bottom 10 defense right now. Again, they've missed a few guys that are very key to that, especially off of their bench. But some of their main guys just haven't been as good defensively this year. Toumani Camara is the most notable one. He was all defensive caliber last year. This year, it's just not there. He's getting the assignments still because they need him to do it. But he just looks like a shell of himself defensively compared to a year ago. And they got a couple of guys like that. So is the buy-in there defensively right now? Is that the identity they're going for? I think that's the biggest question. And if that doesn't change in the next 5 to 10 games, they're probably cooked. But I don't think they're quite there yet. They've had a lot of injuries that has really hurt them on that end. But they're certainly on a dangerous watch right now, given their identity from last year is starting to fall apart.
Scoot is not the guy. I agree. I do think they're the identity. Jesus. Yeah, I think overall, just like you mentioned with their identity, I feel like when you go through a sudden coaching change like that, especially when you were building up that identity, clearly some things have fallen off, as you mentioned, most notably with Tuman and Kamara. But just overall, like if that defense isn't going to be there, like I feel like that's what they have to hang their hat on. And I just don't know if they have the offensive pieces in place to like supplement that. I think right now they're like you mentioned, a bottom 10 defense, but then they're like, the 18th offense or something. So they're not even too much better on that side of the floor. And at this point now, it's just like they're below average on both sides of the ball. So, I mean, from what I've watched of them, I definitely think that, Tiago Splitter's been doing decent with the situation he was given. But yeah, for this season, I think they're overwhelmingly cooked. Honestly, I don't even think Scoot's the guy for them long term. Devin, back in that draft, I wanted Brandon Miller over Scoot, and I know Brandon Miller has his own problems with health, but he's a better player than Scoot now, and I'm not seeing the jump there. I know some guys have taken a little bit longer. You look at like Jalen Green, even like guys like Trae Young kind of started off slow. Coming into the league as a guard, not easy, but I think Scoot at this point, we really haven't seen enough flashes.
Yeah, I would say my hottest take of all time, you can go back and look at my YouTube channel, was saying that Scoot would be better than Wemby. So I think we'll scoot past that. But I think that he could be I don't know if he's the answer, but I think that he could definitely be like obviously an asset, like a piece to this puzzle, and obviously help this team, hopefully become something in the near future. But as kind of me and Gabe and Devin, I think we just need to we got to see what happens here in the next 5-10 games, and then beyond that, we got to see what happens.
Better than Wimpy, so funny, man. All right, well, yeah, I think we're pretty unanimous that they are at least cooked to a decent degree here. So we'll move over to a team who had a hot start this season, but is now seemingly falling down to earth pretty quickly. Garrett, are your Bulls cooked?
Yes, we are. It all starts with Billy Donovan and Patrick Williams, of course. Those are my biggest two factors. Let me read you guys.
Is there a new Billy Donovan quote?
I'll do even one better. There's two. And this sums it up perfectly. So both these quotes came from yesterday after we lost to the New Orleans Pelicans in what might be one of the worst losses of the season. The first quote he said is himself. He said, "Every team is still finding their way. Sometimes when you get those early wins, you might not be actually seeing that team a month later. The more games you play, the more teams are figuring it out. We were a bit ahead of the curve, but I wasn't like, wow, we fixed this, we solved this. I think teams are putting that on Front Street." Basically admitting, hey, everyone's figured out the Chicago Bulls. He just told the whole world, front and center. And then the other quote that I have here is after they lost to the Pelicans and they barely beat the Wizards. I'm sure you guys saw the clip where Vucevic was in the post game and Jalen Smith and Modest Buzelis come up behind him and they're like, yeah, get hype. And he's like, bro, we barely beat the Wizards. So here's another quote that he said still after the Pelicans game. And Billy Donovan said, I think Vooch said it best. We're not talented enough to sustain that. You can look at Washington's record and say they're losing by 30 every game, but this Pelicans team is injured but talented. They're a loaded, talented team that's been unhealthy. I think it would be a slight to the Pelicans and Washington if I said, geez, we're that much more talented than them. For our team, outside of Isaac Okoro, we don't have a single defensive stopper. If we are not better, if it is disrespectful to say we are better than the Pelicans and the Wizards, my brother, we ain't better than anybody. So what do you expect me to take from this? 100% they're cooked because we got a coach who doesn't even believe. And he doesn't do anything to change it either because he just started Patrick Williams at center the other day, said, hey, Pat, we going full screen?
We need to.
He put Patrick Williams at center the other day, and he said, hey, Pat, go stop Zion. Yeah, guess what? He can't because he's built like string bean. So we are not going anywhere, okay? Modest Buzelis, I like the guy. I want him to succeed. But let's be real. He's had some moments where he looks just a little bit too young, and he's not quite there yet. You know, outside of Josh Giddey and Kobe White, there's nothing in this team that gives me a whole lot of faith. Yeah, it needs to be delivering pizzas. I'll call Pizza Hut and see if Billy Donovan delivers at my door. If he's not, then he's still taking out my heart one way or another. He's giving me heartburn either with the pizza or the Bulls. It'll happen. So I just think that we need change. We do, because I said all along, cool, we're 5-0. I'm not buying Billy Donovan or Patrick Williams. I said Patrick Williams has been a little less irritating, but these are the two biggest things. And Vucevic, I'm not going to excuse him because he's not like some defensive guy. He's maybe gotten a little better in recent years, but he's still not this guy that we can rely on. And dude, he's making it seem like Isaac Okoro is an elite defender. I've watched games, and he's not. Okay, he is not an elite defender. So I don't know where he got that from. I want to say another quote, too, that he said, like, oh, we getting pushed out of the way, getting shoved out of the way, and getting driven through. There's times where I say, okay, this matchup overwhelmed us. I'm okay with that if I see guys really hitting him and blocking out. Isaac Okoro did it on Embiid when we played Philadelphia. I need to see more of that. Is this guy in love with Isaac Okoro or something? Like Mr. and Mrs. Donovan 2026? Better book your invitation to the wedding or something, because I have no idea what's going on, man.
I would like to say, as a franchise, okay, the Bulls haven't been a serious franchise for a while now. Let's be honest here. And, you know, they fired Garpax, so there's that. But dude, that gave me life. When that happened, I'm like, thank you, because Garpax. Let's not ignore how bad they were, but AK and Mark Eversley and Billy Donovan are giving them a good run for their money. Maybe it's actually worse, bro. It's honestly worse, because at least with Garpax, we did have a contending team. We just had injuries a lot of those years too. I would say that to me, it's like, if you're a front office, how can you hear your head coach be like, just blatantly, like, not only like be like, I don't believe in this team, first of all, which you should be believing in your team, considering you're the head basketball coach, man. This is your job. Like, what are we doing here? Like, this is your job to build a team that you can believe in. You need to be in practice every single day, in warmups, in every day, talking about how are we going to become a team that, as a team, we can believe in. Not going into press conferences and going, I don't know how we're doing this. We won 10 games out of our first 50. I don't know exactly what it was, but we won X out of our first this many games. I don't know how we did it. And then you start losing a couple of games. Then you go, hey, then you go and say, yeah, they figured us out. We were frauds from day one. Like, yeah, I don't get how I don't get, as a basketball organization, how the front office can be like, let's keep this guy as our head coach. I mean, it's been long overdue. Billy Donovan,
third longest tenured in the league.
Yes, he should have been fired a long time ago.
Only coaches who have been with their team longer are Eric Spoelstra, who won 2 championships and made 6 finals, and Steve Kerr, who won 4 championships and made 6 finals. Who has been on a team longer? There's no one else. Right. And even Mark Daigneault, who was hired the same offseason, he came in a few months later. Billy Donovan also, in one of those press conferences, said we're not built like that. He said we are not built like that.
Hey, but Isaac Okoro is built like that.
Apparently, man.
I got nothing else.
You Mrs. Donovan or something.
They're very cooked, man. Having your motivation strategy be saying we are underdogs against the Pelicans and the Wizards is it's a motivation strategy for sure. It is one of the motivation strategies of all time.
What a great point. Yeah. Nothing to add. I think I can't do any justice to the rant I just heard. That was definitely a KOT2 trademark moment right there.
Can I say one more quote that he said too?
Oh god.
This one isn't like crazy, but while we're on the topic, he said, let me see if I can find it. Yeah. He said this after the Miami Heat loss, I'm pretty sure. Or no, he said this after we lost to Utah. He said, in this league, got to do two things. You got to play really, really hard. You got to execute coverages. You got to execute screening actions. You got to have spacing on things and all those things.
You got to have those two things.
Those two things. Yep.
Oh man. Okay. That's enough Bulls talk, man. I'm not gonna break your heart anymore. I know we're a little short on time here, so we can speed through some of these if we all think they're cooked. I had the Clippers on here. Does everybody agree that they're cooked? Is there any
Beyond.
argument against it?
Very cooked.
I heard
Okay.
they want DeMar DeRozan.
Okay, very
Like,
cooked.
the
So you want
best
DeMar in
they could-
2025?
Best they could do is sneak in as a playoff team just because we know Ty Lue's is forte. Yeah, I call him Ty Lue's. But they're not winning a championship or anything like that, or even coming close. They're not even winning a playoff series. So
Okay. Then two more on here. I got the Boston Celtics. I think they're not cooked. I'm very big in the not cooked camp. I think with this, like, Tatum might come back, and I think that they've seen. I mean, they're still over 500. They're still competitive. I don't know if they're a championship contender. However, I think as far as being able to surpass expectations for this season, they're kind of a pleasant surprise. They've had some good development. Jordan Walsh is kind of making some steps. I'm kind of pleased with them, actually. I don't think they're cooked.
I think they're so French fried. I just do not think that the bald man, the other bald man, Derek White, is some trash. I just can't buy into this team, man. Especially, I don't know. I obviously said they're about 500, and I'll give them their flowers for that. But for how long will this last? I don't know. I don't buy it. I don't think you can have Derek White as your second option and be like, hey, we're going to be a playoff team.
I just want to pull this up real quick. So, out of Gabe, Run the NBA, JELSON, and SMH, who's most likely to break Wilt Chamberlain's 20K record? Well, considering I've scored the most points on my YouTube channel, I will just say that. Anyways, no, I agree. I think the Celtics, I do think, are still cooked.
Wait.
We can't push past that.
No, hold on.
What?
Garrett.
Yeah.
He's not talking about points.
20K record? Oh.
that right there is one of the KOT2 top moments.
Bro, like,
can we make that a TikTok? Timestamp 122.
Oh, shoot, you're right, because he doesn't even have the record, and he's at like what 31K like for points. So yeah, that wouldn't even make sense. I don't know why I was thinking that. I'm just like, and then I thought like afterwards rebounds, and I'm like, well, still, but I'm like, oh, like yeah, that's not good.
What's the answer? Who's the answer?
Who's the answer? Well, I mean, you guys each have. Well, all you guys have someone. So I guess I don't know. Like,
I guess it's Garrett, man. He's not. That's a free man. He's not locked down.
I guess I was telling the truth. Just the intent was a little bit different.
All right.
I do also want to just shout out that where was it? Thank you for appreciating the Winnie the Pooh hat. But I do agree the Celtics are cooked. I just think that even when they come back, like Jason Tatum, even right now, like they still have to address the bigs. Even when Tatum is back next season, and if he's playing like he's best potential like place he can play at, like I still think they're gonna need some work with the bigs down low. Like it's just not looking great. Even though I've liked what I've seen out of the guys like Luka Garza and Neemias Queta and stuff like that, but I think you need a little bit more.
Luka Garza.
He has not been bad. But I don't think you can like count on that like against if it's Embiid or the Cavs or the like Cat, you know.
Hey, my best friend Ian that Garrett knows ran into Luka Garza at a Cowboy Jacks here in Minneapolis. He has a picture. Great story if you ever run into Ian.
Hey, shout out Ian.
All right. Well, last team I wanted to go over, I think this one's a bit more interesting. Orlando Magic. Are they cooked? I think it might just be a slow start. They had some pretty big changes. I think they'll be fine. They're not cooked.
I don't think they're cooked. I think there's something we had discussed in the previous stream too. Was just talking about how I think it was the stream, maybe it was a video I watched, but it was either way I agreed with it, and it was that they need to have. I don't like how they have Desmond Bane be kind of an offensive initiator a lot of the time. I think they should have Franz being that. I think that's one of his strong suits as a player, and I think it's gotten a little bit better as of recent. But I don't like seeing. I think you try to acquire, you get a guy like Desmond Bane to be a guy that can benefit from having playmakers like Franz Wagner, especially at the forward position. And I think that's the reason you acquire a guy like Desmond Bane. You don't get him so he can be the initiator for Franz. I just don't like that idea. I think that is a coach him up practice, but I think it's something that can be easily adjusted and something that does not by any means make them cooked.
They're not cooked, but I think this comment by Jay is interesting because last season, if you guys remember, like when they started winning most of their games, Paolo was not there. And granted, Franz too. And right now, like Paolo's missed the last couple games and they've started to win a little bit better. So I'm just saying, like, if we keep seeing times where like Paolo's not in the lineup and this team continues to win, we might need to have a conversation about that. And I like Paolo, like I'm rooting for him, but I just think that it's a little bit interesting right now that like their most success has, you know, it's just hasn't really come with him.
Yeah, I think there's room for improvement there. Not that it's anywhere near the same situation nor the same talent, because I think Paolo's a much more talented offensive player. But I think at this stage at his career, I think you could see him benefit from not the exact same role. I think you need him to create more, but a similar role to what we're seeing from Scotty Barnes this year, where it's a lot more off ball. He's running well in transition. He's cutting to the rim a lot, which is not something we've seen from Paolo much, but I think could be very effective at being involved as a screener and being effective in the short roll, which we've seen him be very effective at, just not something the Magic have actually used that much. I think there's a lot of off-ball ways that Paolo can be effective and can get him his offense in the flow of the offense. Right now, that just hasn't really been something that has been part of this Magic offense, whether that's via Paolo's desire to be more of a self-creator, whether that's just how they've been scheming their offense. I think they've been forcing that a lot, but there's a lot of ways they can get Paolo involved more in the flow of the offense. Part of it also just needs to be that Paolo just is a bit of a ball stopper sometimes when they have their ball movement going. So certainly there's some room for Paolo to make improvement there, but I think part of it is just going to be how they integrate him into this offense with, you know, maybe they don't have an initiator, a primary creator like we talked about with the Raptors, and it's Bane, it's Franz, it's Suggs, and a little bit of Paolo, and it's very much a by committee thing again, and that ends up working for them because they do have a lot of good but not great playmakers and creators. So I think there's some things they need to iron out with their offense. That's been a thing for years. Even when they had bad shooting, their offensive setup was still rough, but I think they're far from cooked. They do have some things to figure out, but that is going to be key to their offense going forward. I think otherwise they're going to be fine.
Devin, I got one question for you. Is Wendell on an MVP run right now?
I will say this is the best I've seen him look in a couple of years, and I love that.
It's that angel effect. It's that angel effect.
I mean, hey, it's working. It's working.
I'm saying.
It's working.
Shout
hey,
out
man.
I think Steph said earlier something about that Angel was wearing Magic gear. She was yeah, we can ignore that first half, but Angel, she's been putting on for the team. But yeah, anything else on the Magic? I didn't want to cut you off.
No, I think we're good, man. They're not cooked yet, but I definitely look forward to seeing how they look once Paolo's back.
I think we got to address this comment real quick. What do you mean by this, man? What do you mean by this?
Man,
we've had too much. Well, there's been too much sus stuff on this stream, bro.
There's way too much.
All right, we're wrapping up. Last thing here, a little bit of around the league, I suppose. I know I usually like to close things out with just what your current team, player, just highlight of the week, one thing that you want to shed some light on that we didn't talk about before we get out of here that's on your mind.
I'll do my little on this day in history. In 2020, on this day is when Malik Beasley signed his first contract with JELSON's very own Minnesota Timberwolves. So we're thinking about right now with Beasley, not really in the league. Like, I don't know. Will he ever come back?
He'll be back.
And I feel like, too, on the Timberwolves, I know JELSON maybe wasn't a huge fan of him, but I feel like at the start, things were going okay. He was looking pretty good for you guys. So I want to shout that out. Shout out Malik Beasley. On the court.
I think that, on the court is a big.
This is true.
I don't really have like a player or a team that I can shout out, but I can shout out Malik Beasley's lawyers. I think they're doing a pretty good job. He hasn't been, he hasn't been charged with anything yet, so that's a W. W lawyers. So, and then we'll see what happens. Hopefully, he's in the league soon enough, as long as everything's cleared up with him. But shout out to his lawyers because they've been through the ringer the past couple of years.
Oh man.
I'm sticking on the court here with Peyton Watson. Peyton Watson's my shout out for the last week. Last 4 games, over 20 points, man. 20 points, shooting 50% from 3. He's stepped up really well since Aaron Gordon, of course, went out with his injury against the Rockets. So shout out Peyton Watson for stepping up big time. That's going to be really crucial for the Nuggets if he ends up being a true guy that they can rely on come the playoffs and he can actually nail down the 3. Now, 50% on 6.5 attempts, I'm not expecting to continue, but I'm impressed by what I've seen from him the last week. So shout out Peyton Watson.
I do have a Peyton Watson quote in here actually too, because he did say when he was asked about playing with Jokic, he said, "The moment he sees me, his eyes light up." Take that how you will.
Okay. Hey, I'm loving the conversation here. They want to pit us against each other, but we're together. We are a team. We are united as one. Shout out of the week is KOT, the Brotherhood. But yeah, my shout out of the week, I did have a couple written down here just in case somebody else took one. One, I wanted to shout out the Phoenix Suns. I know they just lost that game against the Rockets, but they've shown a lot of promising things. Colin Gillespie's had a big week. I know, Jelson, you might not love him so much right now. But they continue to be a fun team. They continue to win games. And I think right now they're at like 6th in the conference or something. And there's even been some struggles out of Devin Booker. So for a team who came into the year with depth being their biggest concern, and they don't even have Jalen Green. He's only played 2 games. Like they've been real decent. So I'm excited to see what they do once he comes back and how he looks within the flow of that. And some other ones that are more player specific. Put Mamu down. Sandro Mamukelashvili, for those who don't know, changed the culture in Toronto. We talked about it for the early part of the episode, but he's been so good. He does all the right things. I feel like he's low-key kind of a leader, kind of a locker room leader for this team, man. He gives off great vibes. I think for a younger team, he's a great guy to have there. And I know Devin mentioned it as like kind of bench mob 2.0. He might be leading that charge. And then my last one, I did want to shout out Amin Thompson. Just going back watching that Rockets game last night, man, his passing is getting there. And of course, we know the slashing's always been there. He seemed really consistent from the free throw line as well. I know bigger issue with him, he could get the contact, but if you can't convert the free throws, how sustainable is that? And he was really making him pay. But just for where they were when Fred VanVleet went down and what they were looking like coming into the season, I've been really impressed with him lately and how he's been able to kind of handle that point guard responsibility on shorter notice.
I have, I guess, 2 other things to mention real fast. One, can we do a dishonorable mention? Because I have one.
I suppose I will allow it.
Cam Johnson. Man, some cheeks. Obviously, I don't anticipate that his struggles will continue throughout the entire of the year. Shooting like 20-something% from 3. Don't expect that to happen
He's
the
up
entire
to 36
season.
now.
36. Okay. Last time I checked, he's in the 20s, so he's catching back up. But still, this season he's not been very good. Been better as of late, but still dishonorable mention. And second of all, real honorable mention: middle school Michael Porter Jr.
Jelson, you're a real hater. It's nasty, and I do love it. It's great content.
If you know, you know. Middle school, Michael Porter Jr.
So, anyways, on that note, Garrett, did you have something there?
Oh no, I was just gonna say like Jay's got it. Like he's the DoorDasher of the week. But they're just
That was Billy Donovan.
It might be. Shout out. We got people watching from the UK, man. I mean, like we got like Sam in here again. Of course, you know, Megan, like SP, like friggin' everybody. I feel like, of course, Steph. Like, man, a lot of people showed up for stream today.
Man.
I appreciate it, man.
Shout out KOT.
We had Bulldog in here briefly.
Bulldog. I haven't even got that.
David.
David.
We've been kind of deep today, man. I'm very pleased with that. I'm happy everybody could pop out on a Tuesday evening / late afternoon for those on the West Coast / apparently middle of the night, since we are, I guess, worldwide. Shout out to KOT worldwide. But yeah, with that said, I think we can go ahead and close things out. So just want to thank everybody who did, you know, whether you were in chat, just watch, whatever it may be, even if you were just in here for a few minutes. Always love the support. It looked like we peaked around like 10, 11 viewers today, which I think is definitely the highest since we've come back. So definitely want to keep this momentum going. We will be back on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. But until then, have a great Thanksgiving. Hope you guys enjoy the holidays. Hopefully you have some time off work. We'll see you next time.
Peace.